Okay, we're going to talk today about Sukkot. People know all the halachot of Sukkot, but there's some myths about Sukkah that we have to sort of dispel. So in Siman Taf Resh Kavav Shulchan Aruch, which is 6026 in Shulchan Aruch, we read the following: Ha'oseh Sukkato Tahat Ilan. If you build your sukkah under a tree. In the past, people recommended not to build a sukkah under the tree. Today, it's a little more difficult. We live in urban areas. Wherever you have a place, that's where you can build a sukkah. You're not allowed to take down a tree, according to the Torah. Not at all. You also have municipal laws that govern that. You cannot trim a tree on your own without permission from the city. So it's not that simple. And sometimes you have tall trees. The foliage, the branches are 10 or 15 feet in the air, and even if you wanted to, you can't trim them. So what do you do? So Shulchan Aruch says the following: העושה סוכתו תחת האילן, יש אומרים שאם האילן צילתו מרובה מחמתו, פסולה בכל העניין. אף אם הסוכה צילתה מרובה מחמתה. They say that if the tree could provide enough shade for the sukkah, then it means that the sukkah takes all the shade from the tree, and therefore it will be pasul, invalid. אבל אם אילן חמתו מרובה מצילתו, אם הסוכה צילתה מרובה מחמתה, בלא אילן כשרה. Says, but if you put the sukkah without schach under the tree, and you see that the branches are not thick enough to provide shade for the sukkah, let's say more than 50% of the area of the sukkah is not covered by the branches, then the sukkah is kosher. You could put regular schach on it and sit in it. And there is one opinion that even if the tree by itself could provide enough shade, but you're not relying on it, but rather you put your own schach, that's okay. So according to this opinion of the Shulchan Aruch, the prohibition that is mentioned in the Mishnah, that if you do your sukkah under the tree is pasul, that's only if you don't put schach. If you rely on the branches of the tree to provide the schach, then it's a problem. But if you have your own schach, and your schach provides enough shade, even if there's a tree above it, it is okay.
Are you talking about the roof only or the whole?
The roof. No, we're talking just about the roof. This calls the sechach. The word sukkah come from sechach. Mischach and sukkah come from the same word, which is to spread over, to cover. The Shulchan Aruch also says this: Afilu lo ishpila anafim lemata le'arvam im sechach הסוכה, אבל אם אין הסוכה צילתה מרובה מחמתה אלא על ידי האילן, צריך שישפיל הענפים ויערבם עם הסכך בעניין שלא יהיו ניכרים ויהיה סכך רבה עליהם ובטלן. As if the sukkah does not have enough shade of its own, there's another solution. You lower if the roof is tall enough to reach the branches, you could let the branches lie on the sukkah, even though they're still connected, and add your own schach. As long as the schach, the cut branches, are more than the branches that are connected to the tree. That's not very common, but I'm just saying the halakha is interesting because the way people, are obsessed with the sukkot. I know I get phone calls from people, the same photos where at the corner of the sukkah there's a tree 30 feet in the air, a little branch. Is like, what am I going to do? Okay, no one should sit there, or maybe we'll set the women and the children to sit there. So there's not a problem. The whole sukkah is kosher. So that's one halakha here. Another interesting and important halakha.
It's also interesting. It makes a difference, I think, where you are, north versus south. Because the more north you go, the less leaves are going to be on the trees now.
Oh, on that side, right? Because it turns towards the sun.
But also the leaves fall off.
Oh, that's not. We'll talk about falling leaves. That again, another sort of myth that we have about the sukkah. That is dispelled by the Shulchan Aruch. Here's another interesting situation. That's at the end of Taf Resh Kavav, Siman Seif Gimel. העושה סוכה למטה בבית תחת הגג שהסירו הרעפים, אף על פי שנשארו עדיין העצים הדקים שהרעפים מונחים עליהם כשרה. That was common in Eretz Israel and in other places where the way they built, they would put the shingles on poles, wooden poles, or rods, and the shingles would be on them, and they would remove them if it's not. When they lived in the Mediterranean climate, concerned about snow, not too heavy rains, they would be were able to remove the shingles, and now they have the frame, the wooden frame, that they can put the schach on. So this is kasher. Says v'chen, the Haggah adds, v'chen mutar la'asot ha'sukkah תחת הגגות העשויות לפתוח ולסגור. In Europe, because of the weather, this wasn't an option, but people invented the sliding roof.
Israel has a sukkah like that.
Yeah, I had it in LA as well, but in ours were interesting because it was the second floor. We had a big social hall, and in the middle of the hall, we built the sukkah, like open the roof and build the sukkah. And every year I would get a message from one of the congregants through his rabbi to make sure that we build it the right way. That first we put the walls, and then we put says, "Don't worry, we have a rabbi, and they take care of that." So I mean, we think that we invented the sliding roof. Now this is from the Rema about almost 500 years ago. They used to do that.
Sliding roof. Aren't we supposed to still see the light?
Yeah. You slide the roof. So you can do one of two things. Either you put the schach on top of the roof, above the sliding roof. Then when you slide it open, it's right over the sukkah, provided that the walls reach all the way to the top. Or you build the sukkah in the house, the complete sukkah, and with the schach, and you slide it back and forth, and it's okay to do so even during the holiday, meaning he's preempting the question that he will say, but by doing so, you're automatically creating a sukkah. There's a kind of, on Sukkot, regarding the building of the sukkah, it's called ta'aseh velo min asu. You have to build the sukkah, and not to cause it to come into being automatically. But that is also only if the first instance of building the sukkah was done this way. For example, the interesting example that the Gemara is giving, let's say you have a pile of hay, and you dig in the hay a hole big enough to be a sukkah, and then you remove from the top the additional hay until you have a roof thin enough to have the light being seen through. In this case, the sukkah came into being in a reversed manner, so that would have, people brought it up as a problem. You have a sukkah under the roof, right? It's not kosher. Now you slide the roof, it automatically becomes kosher. So that's not a problem. As long as you have to build it under an open roof, and then you could close and
it had to be open first.
Open first, and then open and close the roof. And that could be done even on Yom Tov or Shabbat. It's not a problem of building or not. This is not very common for people to open and close it on Yom Tov, because usually it's a massive thing, or sometimes electric. But what is common is that people build a sukkah in the balcony, where usually they have an awning, and when it rains, they open the awning and then put it back. And I heard from one of my congregants in Brooklyn that he has such a sukkah, and he has a neighbor that never talks to him. The neighbor is very, what they call very orthodox, or things like that. Says during the year, this person doesn't even talk to him. He's not religious enough. But on Sukkot, when he opens the awning, that is the time he comes to say, what you're doing is not right. So it's like...
I thought he was going to compliment him.
No. He only talks to criticize him. So I said, it's not... He asked me, is it a problem or not? And on Shabbat also, by the way, could he open the awning? Because some people say that it's like building a tent. So it's not a problem, because it's mentioned in the Gemara that even though you don't open a canopy or a tent on Shabbat, if it's rolled, and in the status of being rolled, it's wider than 4 inches, then it's already the beginning of the tent, and you can open it on Shabbat. So that's not a problem. Another interesting halakha that in Siman Taf Resh Kav Zayin, the next one, 627, it says this: Peres sadin tahat aschach lenoi, imu betoch 4 tfahim lagag keshera. What if you want to decorate your sukkah? You have a beautiful fabric, silk or something printed with, there are a lot of things going around today, very interesting decoration for the sukkah. And you decided, you walk into your friend's sukkah and you realize that your friend, instead of using that patterned fabric as the wall of the sukkah, he decided to hang it under the roof as a decoration. So you have the sukkah, the walls, you have the schach, and under the schach, tied from the 4 corners, this fabric. You don't see the schach, you just see the fabric. Is it kosher or not? It seems like it would not be kosher. But Shulchan Aruch says, Peres sadin tahat asechach lenoi. If you spread the sheet under the schach for decoration, sukkah is kosher. You could sit in it. Uvilvad shelo yeh betoch 4 tefahim. But it has to be within 40 centimeters or 16 inches of the roof to be considered part of the roof. But with other decoration, it's not a problem. As it happened, most people don't do the sheet. They wouldn't do that. They don't want to run into problems with people criticizing them, obviously. But the other side of this halakha, which is that it has to be within 16 inches of the roof, has been extended by other poskim to other decorations. So they say any decoration you put in the sukkah should be hanging high and not hanging low. If they're hanging low, it's sort of like an independent cover, independent schach. If you sit under it, you're not going to say the chovah. And so they become obsessed of making sure that all the decoration, not a problem. Not a problem at all. All other decorations can hang anywhere in the sukkah. Sheldon, you're listening? So this is not a problem. But with that, it's interesting that this was split into 2 halachot. Later in 629, Siman Yutet, we read this: "Peres alei asadin mipnei hama, o tahtea mipnei haneshar, pesula." If one spread a sheet over the sukkah, on top of the schach, to protect from the heat, or under the schach, not for decoration, but to prevent dry leaves from falling. You want to eat rice and chicken without dry leaves and other things that might come from the schach. Sometimes you have bugs, that are trying to that. So, pesula. He said this is not kosher. V'yesh omrim, but there is an opinion that you could rely on. שסוכה שהיא מסוככת כהלכתה, ויראה שמה ייבש הסכך או ישוע העלים ותהיה חמתה מרובה מצילתה, ופורס על הסדין שלא תתייבש או תחתיה שלא ישרוע העלים, כיוון שהסדין גורם שעל ידה צילתה מרובה מחמתה, פסולה. So the question is, what is your purpose in putting the sheet there? If it's to protect the leaves from drying up or from falling, and by either drying up or falling you won't have enough shade, then it turns out that the sheet is the cause for the schach to be kosher. And in this case, it's not good. Meaning, without spreading the sheet, you would lose shade in the sukkah. So, what causes the sukkah to have shade? A piece of fabric. That's not good. So, it's the same exact thing. The question is, what is your purpose? But if your purpose is only to protect the people sitting in the sukkah from the heat, or to prevent the discomfort of having dry leaves or bugs, or whatever falls from the sukkah in your food, or as we mentioned before, for decoration, it's kosher. So you could do that. So technically, you could sit in the sukkah. Like it's raining, you don't have to sit in the sukkah if it's raining, right? If it's too hot, you could protect yourself with the sheet. But technically, if it's raining and you feel that you want to sit in the sukkah, you could do that. You could put a plastic cover on top and sit in the sukkah, although you're not required again. It happened to us one year, by the way. We forgot to remove the plastic sheet after it was raining. We sat in the sukkah, and it got this belly, filled with water, and in the middle of the lunch, So you have to be careful. I go back to one more halakha, which is very, very important. I skipped the saif because, as I said, it was split into two halakhot.
Rabbi, question.
Yes.
Last year's Rabbanim told us no metal.
Oh, yes, no metal. Okay. Where did it come from?
Why I'm asking, because from my sukkah, I buy from Home Depot.
Yeah, the pipes.
No.
Okay.
No, not the pipe.
Wood ladders with staples.
The lattice.
Okay, so the lattice, the mats. Okay, so the bamboo mats that you could buy in Home Depot, 100% kosher. You could buy them. Just make sure that it's real bamboo and not plastic, because they look very similar.
Plastic is the problem.
Plastic is a problem. No, I know, but just make sure that it's natural. Now, some of them, when you go to what is labeled kosher, and is like 10 times more expensive, right? They tie it with cotton. Cotton is a plant, so they say everything has to be plant, cannot be as tied as Home Depot with either plastic or metal wire. Something that comes from the Far East are with metal. Now, what is the source of that halakha? That has become a craze in the last 50 or 60 years in Eretz Israel. They call it ma'amid le ma'amid. For those who don't speak Hebrew, it's ma'amid and ma'amid le ma'amid. It's like the support and support for the support. Like you cannot support the schach with metal. It's called something that could potentially become impure. And not only you cannot support it directly, even the support of the support cannot be that. So even if the side walls are supported by nails or wire, it's not good. So that causes a lot of problems. I remember in Yerushalayim, when I was a kid, everybody had what they call Sukkah Netza. We had the metal frame. You put the schach directly on top. Nobody had a problem with that. And then, every year, people need new halachot to feel that they're religious, so they come up with that. So where do they come from? Right, because of tum'ah. But here's the source of that issue, of that problem. Shulchan Aruch says, סולם, יש להסתפק אם מותר להניח סולם על הגג כדי לסכך על גביו. He says it's questionable whether one is allowed to put a ladder on, and he's not talking about metal ladder. No. In the time of Shulchan Aruch, there were no metal ladders. Wooden ladders. They were heavy. Wooden ladders. Yesh להסתפק. Now, why is yesh להסתפק? It's questionable whether you're allowed to do it or not. Because wood, in the laws of purity and impurity, wood usually is not susceptible to tum'ah. Wood cannot become tameh, but if it's a utensil or a finished product, it can become tameh. So let's say a cabinet, a wooden box, a letter can become tameh. Fine. So people took it at face value. They said anything that can become tameh cannot be the basis for the schach, but that's not the reason. The reason that the Shulchan Aruch said specifically ladder is, and the commentators explain that, because if you use it as a frame, the next year you might forget and use it as the schach itself, because it's perfectly structured for that, right? You have vertical and horizontal pieces, so that's okay. Let's cover the whole sukkah with letters, and it'll be okay. This concern does not exist with metal rods. You will never try to put the whole schach made of metal rods. It's actually, it is written in the Mishnah that if you put metal rods on top of the sukkah, they're not kosher, but if you put the schach on top of them, it's okay. So no problem whatsoever. You could use, you could buy those bamboo mats.
Staples.
No problem. Not only if you have staples, even if you have on top of your sukkah frame, you will take metal rods and put them across horizontally and vertically, and on top of them you put the schach, it's kosher. So no problem with that. Let let people live, and it's isul. I would say even it's isul to tell people that they have to buy this kind of schach because it goes against the halacha. Torah hasa al mamonam shel Israel. The one that I'll touch on briefly, and tomorrow we'll go more in depth. There's a lot of discussion about the sukkah that cannot sustain winds, right?
Can you talk about the plastic? What's the problem?
Plastic is not mekabel tum'ah, so it's not a problem at all. So you could use.
It's not a problem.
It's not, right?
not
No,
a problem.
it's a problem
No,
if
but
the
it's not
sukkah. It's a problem if the schach itself is plastic. That's what I meant.
Right.
Yeah.
No, because my sukkah is made of PVC.
Oh no, not a problem at all. No. The problem I meant if the when you buy the bamboo mats, you go to Home Depot.
Right.
They have mats that are made from artificial material. They look exactly. To be careful. Very quickly.
Plastic and then the schach.
Yeah, plastic support, no problem.
Plastic support.
Yeah. One last thing, when they speak about sukkah that cannot stand in the wind, and again, people went crazy in the last couple of decades of tying all the fabrics to the side and putting string around so it doesn't move an inch here, an inch there. This is, I don't say complete nonsense, but it is because when the halacha speaks about a sukkah that cannot stand in the wind, it means that the sukkah would be completely blown away. The whole structure would be blown away by the wind. That is when the sukkah is pasul. But if you have sukkah, the frame, and you have walls that are from fabric, and they go back and forth even a foot here and a foot there, it's not a problem as long as when there's no wind that you have the sukkah without tefanot. We'll stop here.
Yeah, but going back years ago, before they had all these canvas sukkahs made from canvas, everyone made their sukkah from doors. Old doors. You have these metal bars, and you attach old wooden doors that you had like in your garage or under your house.
Yeah, you use whatever you have around, right?
And as these canvas sukkah became, and people started making money from selling those kits, then those became the
and then you write the halachot for that.
My grandfather used to make it with palm leaves.
Wait, but.
In Morocco, they use the palm fronds from the suck. But my personal spin on this is that you can take any of these quote-unquote treif sukkot and you can make it kosher by buying 2 1/4 pieces of sheets of lattice wood. Mm-hmm. And if you put the lattice wood at the corner and one at the other end, you can take any sukkah that...
It's very easy to make a kosher sukkah.
And for $10, you can buy lattice wood and just attach it.
And one more thing. We'll talk tomorrow about the strange mechitzot that are mentioned in the Shulchan Aruch. So one strange mechitzah is animals. You could make a mechitzah from an animal as long as it's not moving to the side. But not only that, just for the anecdote, he says, יכול לעשות מחברו דופן לסוכה להכשירה ובלבד שלא ידע אותו שהוא עמד שם בשביל שמחיצה עמד שם. You could use your friend as a wall for the sukkah as long as he doesn't know that he is part of the wall. So we'll talk about it tomorrow.